All right, welcome. Mike Cosgrove here with Pro Concepts, PCIA, and I've got a friend and a colleague joining us here today, Mark Will with Dale Carnegie here in the Southeastern chapter.
Yeah, Southeastern Michigan, yeah.
Southeastern
Mike.
Michigan.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Oh, gosh.
Really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for being here.
Yeah,
it's going to be awesome.
My pleasure, really.
So I got to tell a quick little story, if that's
right.
okay, about Dale Carnegie. And I told you this during lunch. We had lunch, I don't know, a month or so ago. But
Right.
I did Dale Carnegie out of college because I came out of college and I was still extremely quiet, not comfortable in my own skin. Even one-on-one conversations, I could tell I had anxiety. So someone said to me, I should go to Dale Carnegie. And so I did Dale Carnegie 25 years ago.
All right.
And, at first, obviously it's an intimidating experience, but I knew if I wanted to get where I wanted to go in life, I needed to get comfortable in who I was. And so I did Dale Carnegie. And how long is the classes? 8 weeks, 12 weeks?
Yeah, depending on which one you join, there's an 8-week, a 12-week, 3-day.
Okay. So it just kind of depends. But I'll say this to the listeners out there. It's like being let out of jail. So if you feel like you can, and I know Mark got a kick out of it. I swear to you, I don't endorse, everybody, but I'm a huge believer in Dale Carnegie.
Thank you.
So yeah, like getting let out of jail and feeling comfortable. Well, so doesn't mean I don't have butterflies when I do presentations, but I look at that as it keeps me on my A game.
Yeah, I mean, just really quickly, my story similar to me. I read the books, loved the books, went to college and wanted to take the Dale Carnegie course. Finally got the chance when I was a controller at an organization, and it changed my life.
Sure.
So we can talk more about that later if you choose to.
That's how you got in it.
Yeah, that's it.
Love that. Awesome. All right. So to reach out to PCIA, you can reach us at 800-969-4041. Website is PCIAonline.com. And today we're talking about the 9 ways to build trust, credibility, and respect.
Yes.
Which I love, all of these things that we're going to talk about. So before we dive into that, though, Mark, favorite business book? I ask everybody.
Well, of course, they're the Dale Carnegie ones.
Absolutely.
First choice, How to Win Friends and Influence People, How to Stop Worrying and Start Living. If it's non-Dale Carnegie, what I'm into right now is The Great Game of Business by Jack Stack.
Okay, that's one I don't know. All right, nice. How far are you into it, or have you finished
Oh,
it?
I'm pretty deep in it right now.
Almost done. Yeah, nice. All right. Well, that's a great recommendation. Thank you. All right. So, anything you want to share as far as something that people don't know about Mark Will?
I am local at Detroit area.
Sure.
I was born in Detroit and worked my way. Started my own entrepreneur stuff when I was 8, 9 years old, right?
Oh, wow. Okay.
It started with way back when. Some people might not know this, but there used to be newspapers. And I used to have a newspaper route. And I made enough cash from that to buy my first car. And one other interesting thing is I used to work at a gas station, and back then we still pumped gas for people.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But fun hobbies. I love water skiing.
Okay.
That's one of my, I would love, I could do that all day. Within reason, but yeah.
So it's funny you bring that up because my goal this weekend is to, and by the way, 2 weekends ago was my first time water skiing. But
really?
My first time, it took me 3 times to get up.
Okay.
Once somebody said, hey, put your knees back at your chest and pretend like you're doing a squat. And I'm a gym
keep those
guy.
arms straight, yeah.
I had it. I was I immediately got up on it. But so this weekend I'm learning how to wakeboard.
Oh, wow. You're fast.
So
That's
we'll
good.
see. I don't know. Hopefully I make it to Monday. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I think it's a great workout. You hold on and you get great exercise.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Absolutely. All right. So let's dive in. 9 ways to build trust, credibility, and respect. And first one we've got up on the gate, we've got don't criticize, condemn, or complain.
Mm-hmm. So all of these, first of all, you can get these tools that we're talking about today, Mike. Anybody can get this if they're their iPhone, whatever kind of phone they have, we have the apps for it. All right. Okay. It's free. It costs you nothing. Might as well download the Dale Carnegie app.
Okay.
And then later, if they want to contact me, I can also get them a paper version. But basically, there's the book, How to Win Friends and Influence People. And what you're going through and what we're going through right now is the Cliff Notes version.
Sure.
And these are the 9 tools, all right? There's many steps we can go through, but this is the foundational area. And these 9 tools we're talking about to build trust, credibility, and respect start with don't criticize, condemn, or complain.
Sure.
And if you get a chance to read How to Win Friends and Influence People, on page 15, the last paragraph, Dale Carnegie tells you instead of criticizing, you should seek understanding.
Okay.
And you think about how many people, think about who criticizes themselves more than anybody else. Do you criticize other people or yourself more? What do you think?
It's a great question, and you're putting me on the spot, but I'm going to say we probably criticize ourselves more.
I would think so too, right? And that affects our attitude and so forth. And so when you're trying to build relationships either with yourself, remember, why are you criticizing yourself? You want to start growing. That's one.
Sure.
But we're talking about build trust, credibility, and respect. When you're going to start a relationship, does it make sense to start criticizing? Picture your first date, right, with your wife. Were you criticizing, condemning, and complaining?
Sure. Right. No, not at all.
Because what's that going to do for you? So one little tidbit about this is that some people think that are familiar with Dale Carnegie or heard of Dale Carnegie, they think, oh, they don't want you to criticize, condemn, or complain ever. That's not true. Later on, if you get through the whole book or one of our programs, you'll see Principle 24, all right? And if you download the app, you'll know what that is.
Okay.
And there is the way that Dale Carnegie suggests you do criticize.
Gotcha.
Right? But when we're building trust, credibility, and respect, it doesn't make a lot of sense to criticize people.
Okay. All right.
Make sense?
Absolutely. Well, and I find that people will complain with the best of them. And what's the saying? Misery loves company.
Oh, for sure. For sure. It sounds simple. It sounds so simple. These 9 tools we're talking about, everybody knows this stuff. It's common sense.
Sure.
But it's not so much common practice. And that's the goal, to review these like you brush your teeth every day, review these principles daily to keep them consciously aware.
Sure.
So that you use them.
Right. Well, and I'm not from Michigan, and I absolutely love this state. I've been here for 33 years, and I cannot imagine living anywhere else. But I find that a lot of people, and it seems like it's true Michiganders that were born and raised here, they will complain about the weather with the best of them. And I'm always kind of like, well, I'm odd because I like the fall, I like the winter, I like the summer.
You like it all?
I like it all. And that's why I like the state.
Right,
I mean,
right.
you get bored of the summer, in comes fall, and here we are at September 2nd or whatever. So.
Oh boy, and it comes fast too.
All right, so don't criticize, condemn, or complain. Number 1. How about number 2?
Yeah, so it's a system, right? So what you want to do is everybody wants to have honest, sincere appreciation. And I ask people in some of our programs, can you actually give somebody too many compliments?
Sure.
And I suggest people try this. If a compliment is honest, sincere, right?
Sure.
Can you compliment people too much? And I think not. And that's the thing is that if you keep giving somebody the same compliment over and over again, is it still sincere, right?
It loses its credibility.
Yeah. So if you stop criticizing, condemning, and complaining, all right, you start looking at how you can give honest, sincere appreciation, and you're backing that up with examples, right? You're starting to build people because people are starving for this kind of attention. People, if you have young children, you would never think about not feeding them at least 3 square meals a day and so forth. And yet some of the things that they're starving for more than anything is that attention and that honest appreciation. So when you can do that, what it will do for you. These tools can be also used, I'm bringing it up in personal life, your professional life, and even if you're in sales, anybody, and you're selling. A lot of people, first thing you want to do is not criticize, condemn, and complain about the other competition or so forth. You want to seek understanding why your particular customer is going with that one. You want to give them honest, sincere appreciation of the things that they've achieved. And that leads to principle 3, which is arousing another person an eager want. We really, as leaders, we want to arouse that want, that eager want in people for them to want to do what you want them to do.
Sure.
And the way to do that is to build that trust, credibility, and respect. It starts with not criticizing that person. It's seeking understanding where they're coming from and giving them honest, sincere, catching them doing things right, giving them that appreciation. And that arouses an eager want from them to want to do those things for you.
Sure. So if I boil that down to like something everyone can relate with that perhaps has children at home, the messy room. Not always complaining about the messy room, but thanking them for, hey, thanks for putting your shoes and your coat in the locker in the mudroom as an example.
Catching them doing something right.
Something right. So yeah, absolutely. All right. And then number 4, we've got on here, become genuinely interested in other people, which this one I always find odd because I feel like I'm so interested in other people and I feel like I'm always, the more different they are than me, at least as far as how they perhaps appear, because that's the first thing we see is appearance, right? Sure. I'm more interested in what's their story and what's their family's values and their customs and all that. I mean, I love that. I mean, otherwise it's a pretty darn boring world.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. So I guess, become genuinely interested in other people. If you ask somebody how they're doing, okay? Sure. And you go right back and you say, well, how you doing? And they start talking, right? Yeah. So did they really care about how you're doing? Sure, right? And so becoming genuinely interested. Sometimes there's people that act interested, but really they're listening and they're ready to respond when it's right for them or they want to sell. And think about some people sometimes in sales, they act like they're interested in the customer, but then they want to write in and start talking about what they have to sell. And so what happens is if I'm going to be with certain people sometimes, I might not, I love sports. Sure. It takes a lot of time to watch all of these sports. And I have friends and relatives that are way into it, right? I mean,
they spend a lot of time watching it.
They spend a lot of time. And it takes me extra effort to become genuinely interested in what they're doing. I have to catch up. I have to read the ESPN, right, to understand what's going on. So it takes a little extra effort with the genuinely interested, right? Sure. To really care about what other people have to say. Sure. And then that leads to number 5, and that's smile. Right? Yeah. Common sense, but not common practice. I'm doing it because it's one thing that I have a challenge with. Like my wife, she has a beautiful smile, wonderful smile. I mean, she just opens her mouth and she smiles. Me, you've heard that resting bee face, right? That's something that I just got to work on. And now I teach this stuff. We're all different, right? Right. But the value of a smile, it's your curb appeal, right?
Sure. And you can hear it over the phone even.
Yeah, and smiling. So you think about what we've talked about so far. You're trying to build trust, credibility, and respect. Let's think of a coworker, right? You're not criticizing. You're not criticizing them. You're actually giving them honest, sincere appreciation, followed up with some examples. It arouses an eager want for them to maybe want to spend more time or pay attention to you. It shows you're becoming genuinely interested in them. The smiling makes you warmer and more approachable.
Sure,
right?
Sure.
And you're saying, maybe some people are saying, well, I don't go to the office anymore. You still can do this. Can you tell if somebody's smiling over the phone, Mike?
Absolutely.
So these things we're talking about are all these different Zoom calls or Teams calls that we're on, they worked there. Yeah. And then number 6, I'll just say it for you. It's a low one.
Actually, before we go on to 6, can I say something about the smile?
Please.
I don't know where I read this in. Maybe it was a Dale Carnegie book. I can't remember. But if you are not in a good mood, and we all have those days, right, where you're just not really feeling your best. If you're driving in the vehicle, if you're, waiting to start a Zoom call, if you're waiting to go into a meeting, but it talked about holding a pencil between your teeth is a trick is that a Dale Carnegie thing?
It's not a Dale Carnegie thing. I've heard it too.
But it's a trick in your mind that it will change your attitude because you physically cannot be in that, bad mood with a smile on your face. Right, and by holding the pencil between your teeth kind of a thing, it mimics that smile and it makes your body think you're actually in a good mood, which I found fascinating.
Yeah.
So, anyways.
Yeah, I think even trying to smile, it's just, it's so easy to read these 9 tools, right? And yet it's common sense. How do you make it common practice? And you have to practice doing these things. And so the smiling, actually practice in the mirror, you hear this. I mean, when I was in sales and I put that mirror in front of me, oh, that was so out of my comfort zone if anybody's done that before.
Sure.
And yet it still helps. And you can tell, again, over the phone if you have that smile. And with that smile, I would get people to at least stay on the phone longer with me.
Sure.
So I think it's extremely valuable. Any tools you have, any way you want to practice it, you should try it out.
Absolutely. All right. And I interrupted you. So
Oh,
we'll just
no,
start
no,
to
no.
say
It's
with
all
number
good.
6.
Number 6 is remember that a person's name is to that person the sweetest and most important sound in any language. When you hear that, what's that say to you, Mike?
When I hear what you just said about it being the sweetest sound, I think it's very true, because that means Mark knows my name. You know, I mean, it's something that you learned obviously as a baby, and then we're going to carry with us for our entire life. Right. But I think it makes perfect sense.
Yeah, and here's a couple things that I have picked up on with this tool. First of all, people that you work with, pay attention to what they want to be called. It will actually affect their mood and affect your relationship. So we have somebody that works for us. Her name is Kimberly. If you call her Kim, it doesn't make her very happy. She wants to be Kimberly. I have some people that I work with. For example, Michael wants to be called Michael, not Mike.
Gotcha.
All right?
Sure.
So those little things for people that you work with, pay attention. It makes a difference. And then if there's people that you work with that have, just to be blunt, a foreign name, but they're going by Joe or something, and you can say their real name,
absolutely,
it will make such a huge impression in them, and it'll help you, again, build some more trust, credibility, and respect. I'd like to just pause here for a minute. Some people say, okay, you could use these to manipulate people. That's not our intention, right?
No.
My intention, your intention, as leaders, as people, we want to do the very best thing. We want to positively impact lives. So, yeah, could you use these to manipulate people? Yeah. If that's your choice, you'll get found out pretty fast.
Exactly. It'll come across immediately, for sure. Well, and I think that, I mean, even, in today's world, I feel like, you go into a restaurant, and I think restaurants are probably the perfect example. Not all of the times right now are the service staff super happy to be there for whatever reason. And I feel like
they're so short-staffed.
They're very short-staffed, and that is a tough world. And what I have found is, in a number of these points that we've already brought up, but, the smile changes everything. If you ask them, and I'm very I'll say blunt and matter of fact. And so I'll even ask them if it's just, say it's the gal at the front desk and my family's going to meet me at the restaurant and I'm waiting for a table or whatever. I'm going to ask her, so how's the week going? And you ask somebody how their week's going, it changes everything. Because all of a sudden now they're like, well, crap, this guy actually cares. And I do. I'm always kind of interested in people's story. Yeah. Now, you will be surprised some of the things you find out when you ask that question, but I tell you what, I just met some folks at the Moose Lodge up in Fenton last night. Okay. I met a number of the waitstaff ladies, and these ladies are phenomenal. And I can't wait to go back because of what I learned about them. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
And it's important, too. I typically ask them their name before we get started, before I get a drink order, whatever.
Sure.
And you can see sometimes it just throws them off because they're so used to, okay, what's your order? What do you need? And it right. kind of slows them down a little bit and helps that you appreciate them.
Exactly.
And that I would like to give that, I don't know, a note out to everybody. These restaurants, I mean, look at how many restaurants are not open like they used to be.
Sure.
We need to be more patient to our wait staff. I mean, they're working hard, they're short-staffed, and if you're complaining, it's not going to do anything any good. And they're doing the best they can.
Exactly.
And I tell you what, I'm glad that they're showing up for work so now I can finally go out to eat again.
For sure.
So let's appreciate those people.
Yes. Yeah, one last thing on that. We were at a restaurant, my wife and I, and actually some of my wife's family, and the wait staff were wearing T-shirts, and on the back of their shirts it said, "Please be patient with us. There's like 3 of us." And I was like, that's the perfect shirt. I love that, So hopefully things get better for the restaurant industry. My family actually, long time ago, we owned a pancake restaurant.
Really?
So yeah, so I grew up. And I know how hard people work in that space. And that is, I mean, I remember we were open 7 days a week, but on Sundays we were only open for breakfast and lunch. We were not open for dinner. And I would watch my dad mop the floors on Sunday evenings. And I remember thinking, boy, it's a tough.
There's a lot of behind the scene things you don't even see that they're doing. And
Exactly. So anyways, all right. Well, fun. All right. How about number 7?
Yeah. So be a good listener, All right. And so when you think about be a good listener, encourage others to talk about themselves, it sounds really simple, right? But is it? So listening, I think, is one of the strongest communication skills. People say Dale Carnegie, it's a public speaking course. That's one of our courses. We have leadership and sales and so forth.
Sure.
If you think about it, the Dale Carnegie program you were in, it's also a practicing listening course, because you're listening to all those different people and engaging and really listening to them. In one of our leadership programs, we talk about the 5 different levels of listening. And I feel that many people are so excited or so wanting to talk about what they have to talk about that they don't encourage others to talk about themselves. And so certain people will shut down, right? So when certain people shut down, you're losing perhaps opportunities. I bring that up especially as a leader or as a salesperson, because if you have you're talking to a customer and they finally start talking and you say, "Oh, I got the solution for it," and then you now they shut down, and now you may have lost some valuable information, right?
Sure.
That you could have been told. Or as a leader, there's these people, they just don't talk sometimes in the meetings, and how can you break that out of them? Right. So that's it. Being a good listener, encouraging others to talk about themselves, is common sense. It's pretty hard to do all the time, though.
Sure. Two ears and one mouth.
There's a reason, right?
There's a reason.
Right.
All right, and then we've got number 8, which is talk in terms of the other person's interest.
Yeah, and that goes similar to what we were talking about before.
Sports and that kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, you talk in terms of their interest, and here's what happens too. We talk about what we do in another leadership class. It's called an interview, not an interview, but an interview. And it's talking about their interests. And what happens is that a lot of people start, they start talking, and as soon as they do it, they interrupt you, right? And so now they don't have a chance to talk, and you don't get a chance to get to know them better. So think about this. If you're being a good listener and you're talking in terms of the other person's interest, right? Now you're building some confidence in that person, which helps you build some more trust, credibility, and respect. So as you can see, these steps so far were 1 through 8. They're all working together.
Sure.
You can use 1 or 2 and they'll work, but I'm hoping that you're all seeing that going from 1 that will go all the way to 9
Sure.
will really help everyone build that trust, credibility, and respect. And you can't just do it once. You're going to do it continuously.
Right. Yeah. Like you said, it could be personal life, spiritual life, at work. I mean, everything, right?
Yeah.
In any encounters you have with various people throughout your day.
Yeah.
So
sometimes too, when you're maybe in a sales situation or going on a sales call, if you can talk in terms of the other person's interests and find out something that nobody else would know about them.
Sure.
That would really help grab some attention, or
Right.
paying attention that something that they said, so that you bring it up again. That shows that you really listen to them.
Sure.
And that leads to the 9th principle. Make the other person feel important and do it sincerely.
Sure.
Right? So the goal is everybody wants to feel important.
Right.
Everybody wants it. And even if you say, "Nah, I don't." Yeah, when you get on to sincere appreciation, even myself, it's good stuff,
Yeah,
right?
right.
And the more that you can do that, the more that you're going to improve relationships with people.
Yeah. So it's funny, when we walked in here this afternoon, Rob, the owner of Speakeasies, we're at a studio that helps us with social media and this podcast and all this
Nice
good
place.
stuff. Yeah,
Nice
I mean,
place.
it's beautiful. And Rob hands me a bottle of Angel's Envy bourbon, and I'm like, "What's this? What's this for?" And he's like, "Just because." He goes, "I knew you had only tried it once, and it's one of my favorites." And I'm like, "How cool is that?" So to your point of making someone feel important, I thought, "Well, geez, I feel like a bigwig up in here."
Well, that's because you are, Mike. That's because you are.
So awesome. All right. So 1 through 9, that's amazing. The 9 ways to build trust, credibility, and respect. Anything closing remarks or things you want to share with folks?
I would suggest that you get the Golden Book, again, whether it's from the free app or if you contact me at mark.will@dalecarnegie.com. I'll get you a paper version or a PDF version. here's why I'm saying this. It's free, and if you just review it a little bit each day, it takes less than 3 minutes to review these principles.
Right.
And just that little bit of review will help you make it more common practice. So
Sure.
it's not just common sense, it's also more common practice for you, and you'll start to see the positive results.
Sure. I think something like this is a perfect example, is to have that PDF or those 9 items sitting next to your sink where you brush your teeth or something.
yeah.
You know what I mean? In your bathroom. That's kind of like what I've gotten in the habit of. If there's something I want to change about how I conduct myself, or that I say too often in speaking, or whatever the case might be, something like that you're just brushing your teeth and you're looking at that going, well, I didn't do a very good job of whatever, but starting tomorrow, I'm going to do better.
There you go.
So
you're seeking understanding, and give yourself some honest, sincere appreciation. Mike.
Exactly. So anything from a personal using these 9 items that comes to mind, like for spouses, significant others, children, grandparents. I mean,
I get that kind of question all the time. These tools, people will come to our programs and the business pays for them, and they quickly see that they can use all these tools at home too.
Okay.
And the goal is start using them wherever you're most comfortable. So if you start using them and you're more comfortable using them at home, you're going to start developing that habit. And then you'll start using it more at work, or vice versa. Yeah. And the goal is to start using them because, again, I know I'm repeating myself, but this common sense stuff, doggone it, we need to make this more common practice. The world already is tough enough.
Sure.
And if you can treat people with these 9 principles, you are going to build the trust, credibility, and respect that you deserve. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, hey, thank you for being here with me today, Mark. This has been amazing.
Thank you.
And,
appreciate it.
Yeah. So if they want to reach out, I know you just gave your email address. Is there a phone number that if they called?
Yeah, it's 248-380-7000.
Awesome. And all of this will obviously be in the contacts in the for the podcast and that. So to reach out to PCIA, that number's 800-969-4041, and it's PCIAonline.com. Again, Mark, thank you so much, and we'll see you next time. Thanks, everyone.